Frequently, when people come to speak to me, they'll say, I want to have custody of my kids. How do I get that? And they don't really have a good understanding of what that question actually entails. In New York, it's important to understand what's involved in the word custody. There are essentially two types of custody. There's legal custody and there's physical custody. To talk about legal custody first, that has to do with decision-making responsibilities for your child or your children. How do two parents who are now divorced make decisions with regard to their children? Clearly, if they got along very well, they probably wouldn't have come to my office in the first place. So that's a difficult and very real problem going forward for the life of your child. Decision-making entails subjects such as medical decisions for your child. If your child has a medical problem that requires an ongoing treatment, or God forbid there's an accident that occurs and your child needs a surgery, these are all things that parents would have to communicate. This is what legal custody is. It also involves if there's a religion a part of your family or two different religions, how do you resolve those type of problems going forward with your child? It also involves extracurricular activities. What sports do they play? Or no sports at all? Or college, for example, or even private school. You can see a great deal of what we would describe as major decisions. Joint legal custody would require the parents to communicate on those decisions and come ideally to a joint decision. Not always is that possible, though, and so there are different types of situations where the court would give decision-making authority in different areas to mom and different areas to dad. Sole legal custody, as the word sounds, would give one parent the ultimate decision-making authority with respect to their children. Physical custody, which is the other side of the custodial situation, is essentially where does the child reside? Did my children live with mom or do they live with dad? Also, in part of that, when you have, obviously if you're living with mom, then mom would be the person with whom the child would spend the vast majority of the time. Likewise, if they were living with dad, same thing, and the other parent would have access so they could see their child. It's a very flexible concept, physical custody, because our lives are such that we have two working parents now, and there are times when you can have a joint physical custody relationship in which the child will spend about 50% of the time with one parent and then 50% of the time with the other parent.
Keith Shapiro and Ford, making our voice heard so your voice is heard.